So, Vanguards. Let's talk about it. The good and the bad. Hello everyone and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. I'm Commander Exorcist, and today we got a deep dive into the upcoming Vanguards update in Elite Dangerous. This is going to be the one that completely revamps the squadrons feature in the game. And so in this video, I'm going to be going through the entire set of assets that were provided to us from Frontier, and I'm going to talk about how they envision us setting up and managing new squadrons, some of the activities that can be assigned, and perks, and a few other things. Now, before we get started, just kind of a general note for you all. I have utilized the squadron features in Elite probably one time, so I'm well aware that this particular feature is probably not something that's geared toward a player like me personally, but I do know a lot of people that appreciate this kind of stuff, and I understand the mechanics, and I think I understand where they're trying to go with it. I'm going to try to be as fair as I can with this because I have some high praises in areas, and I have a few concerns that I think need to be addressed, and understanding that what we're seeing is still a work in progress. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. And basically, one thing they did say right off the bat, when they told us earlier in the year that they were doing an update called Vanguards, what they did is they told us that they were going to be adding a new feature to the game and calling it Vanguards. And it was going to be kind of like a companion to Squadrons, or like Squadrons on steroids. It was going to be an upgraded version of the Squadrons feature, but it was going to be called Vanguards. Well, today on the live stream, they decided they're not going to call it Vanguards. They're going to call the update Vanguards, but the actual feature in the game is just going to remain Squadrons. So what they're doing is they're taking the Squadrons feature in Elite, and they are completely revamping that. So that's really what we're looking at now, is we're looking at Squadrons 2.0. Last year we got Power Play 2.0. This year we're getting Squadrons 2.0. And there's a lot in this that really seems designed to get people more engaged with Power Play and BGS and other things that kind of live in the background of the day-to-day operations in the galaxy. And so I'm going to go through these different screens. Some of them I'll spend more time on than others, but on each one of them I'll kind of give you some high and low points, things that I've noticed, things that I'm curious about, and things that I hope go away before they actually publish it to start. So when you start a new squadron, apparently it's only going to cost you 10 million credits to start a new squadron. That means we are in for a flood of brand new squadrons. A bunch of squadrons with one dude in them. You know, that's what we're looking for. And you also have the option to find squadrons. So this is pretty straightforward for anybody. And I just realized you can't see because of my head, but behind me it says create new squadrons, 10 million credits. Here is the screen for creating a new squadron. And so basically, it's if you've played any kind of video game or filled out any kind of online form in the last 5 years, this is pretty straightforward stuff. You select your squadron name, ID, motto. So you get to say a motto, you know. We sell rocks, shiny ones. Deus Volt, or whatever it is that you want to throw in there. And then you have a mission statement. So you are building an actual like operational squadron. You're building something that in game people would want to build. This takes some of that feature away from third-party tools like Inara and even Discord, where people gather and chat a lot. This gives some of that realistic flavor that has been built on the outside world and moves it into the game itself. So it's really cool. Application requirements, and then you have activities. You can pick as many activities as you want. So whatever it is that your squadron does, and these seem to be just like cloud tags. So things that you would these are probably what's going to show up in the search box. This is like your SEO selections. And then once you fill out that information, then you will select a superpower. So you have to select a superpower. You have to be affiliated with somebody. If you're independent, that's fine. And then you will pick an affiliation. So you can pick like a supporting faction. You don't have to have one, but let's say that you are a mining organization and there is a combat squadron out there that kind of offers support for you sometimes. This is a good opportunity for the two of you to kind of link up together and show that unity across activities. So that's kind of cool. Then you can select your supporting power. If you want to be on the losing side of things, you can pick Jerome Archer, or you can pick somebody from the Empire. I mean, it's totally up to you, but you know, choices do have consequences. And so, but you get to select your supporting power as well. And then primary perks. So the primary perks, and I hope to God that these change before the final, because some of these are not good at all. CQC, really? So the squadrons perks are things that you can set that will, they're buffs, basically. And it's kind of neat. They're kind of buffs across different activities in the game. So let's say that you're a mining organization and you activate the mining buff, then you can get, you know, maybe additional resource outcomes or additional XP or whatever it is from mining in a system where your squadron is active. So it's a cool idea to have the perks. And they did kind of hammer home that this was, you know, this is something we're working on. These are not final. It was almost like they were embarrassed with some of these, and I understand why some of these are terrible, but it would be really cool to see some, you know, different ones. But the idea of the squadron being able to select the different perks and maybe turn them on and off is very good, because there's strategic opportunities there, especially when you're running like a CG of some kind, and say it's mining or it's trading or whatever. You can change the perks, and then, you know, your squadron can make an unbelievable amount of money from these kind of things. So the perk system is pretty neat. I kind of like it, but I'm interested to see some others. There are others. You can see there's a scroll bar. They did not provide us any kind of video or anything, so these screenshots are basically, these mock-ups are what we have, so we don't know what else is down below. Okay, so we're going to talk about logos. They really drove home the point of designing decal, as in logos, for your squadrons. And I get the point. I like branding, and I like the idea of being able to go in and make something unique that differentiates my operations from others. And there's no better way to do that than a logo or some kind of mark, some kind of colors, whatever it is, to set yourself apart from the other organizations that are out there. And this is a good thing. It was just really kind of weird how they hammered it home so much. And so I like it. And so you can do foreground, midground, background. If you've played any kind of game like Crusader Kings, or basically any kind of strategy game, they usually have logo makers like this, and you usually can change like the color of the shield, the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. And here you have the opportunity to create a squadron banner as well. And these are just kind of examples of, it's got an RGB selector, which is fantastic. So you can change the coloring throughout the whole thing. And they gave us a couple of different examples. So there's lots of opportunities for squadrons to go out there and, you know, make a unique presentation for themselves. And so I kind of like this. And according to Frontier, these will become decals that you can use on the ships in your squadron. So we don't know anything else beyond that, but apparently if you're in the squadron and this is the logo, it will be available as a decal, which is awesome because it's a real world tangible change based on player activity with something major like this. That's a big deal. It really is. It goes back to how they tried to incorporate some of the Power Play 2.0 stuff with the changing of the stations, graffiti, and signage and colors and all these different things. And this is really a continuation of that, you know, player-influenced change. Even if it's just cosmetic at times, it's still welcome when you look at the greater game as a whole. So yeah, it has an RGB selector. It's a color, it's a logo maker. It was just really strange how they kind of hit this home. I know we're all excited about it, but yeah, there it is. And so here is kind of the final screen that you'll be given. So this is your preview screen before you click the final button, pay your 10 million credits, and get your squadron made. And Jerome Archer, they picked Jerome Archer, and they picked the Federation because that's who they are. And you can see the primary perk for this one is the mining fragment increase, so they get more fragments when they're doing mining, probably deep core stuff as well. And then they get a faction perk of increased team trade dividends, which that's pretty sweet. So yeah, for 10 million credits, doesn't seem like too bad of a deal. Now, what happens if you don't want to make a squadron, but you want to join a squadron? It's pretty easy. It's like anything else, like kind of like a server, like a matchmaking server on an older FPS game. So you can just search squadrons. You pull up this screen, and there'll be a list of them. They each get their own little banner, their name, and their mottos. So you got Jerome, you got Ashlyn Duvall. I still call her that sometimes. The legit gardeners, as opposed to the non-legit gardeners, galactic trading and all these. So you just pick whatever it is that you want to be, and you'll be able to apply to it. And there'll be people inside the squadron, just like a social media group. When you apply, they'll be able to review your application and approve you or not. So inside of the squadron is a management screen. And this is kind of like what it looks like when you go to apply. You can actually see who is in the squadron. So the different commander icons, the holomies, those are cool. And then you'll be able to see who your friends are in the squadron. So you can see that right there on the screen, whoever this is has two green dudes on their holomy avatars. Those are friends that are in this squadron. So so far so good. This is really neat, because the intention of all of this is to get people re-engaged with the squadron's activity and to bring in new players. This is designed in a way that if you've played any kind of matchmaking system on any multiplayer server, any game, you're going to recognize a lot of these things. So you go in, find your squadron, apply, and then there's different ways you can set things up. And so here is the squadron viewed as a member. So this is kind of like the squadron homepage. And you have a bulletin board. Apparently, somebody stole this guy's fish. So there's a bulletin board. So if you're going to have like a fun event, like you have a specific commander in your squadron that's maybe bald and wears a scarf everywhere, and you guys want to have a big fiesta where you all get together and try to shoot him, yeah, that's where you would put this on the bulletin board. Hey, Friday night, we're going out to try to smoke Commander Burr. That's the kind of stuff that you want to put on your bulletin board. You're also going to have access to be able to see the other commanders, like almost 600 people in this squadron. And then Squadron Bank, we'll talk a little bit about that because that was a big surprise. We're getting a little bit into, these are kind of the basics of it. It's improved squadrons. It's a little bit easier to manage. There's a lot more detail to it. It's a lot more consequential. There's a lot more things in the games, in the squadrons element that will impact day-to-day operations for your game, for your players. You can't see it behind me, but there's an option to open chat and to create new posts for the bulletin board. And then that button on the bottom says to leave squadron. You can look at squadron leaderboards. Now, this was really neat, and I really liked this. This was a point where you could see that a lot of thought has gone into this in terms of balance, because you'll have squadrons that, like, say, look on the screen here. You have a squadron that has 504 people in it, and then another squadron that has 56 people in it. Now, in a traditional kind of leaderboard, 56 squadron, unless they are all aces, they don't stand a chance. If that 504 person squadron has a lot of people active, 56 doesn't stand a chance. But what they've done is they've taken it, and the top 10 to 50 people, the top 10 people to 50 for each squadron are all that counts. So the top, say, 50 people in that 56 squadron, so 6 of them are not going to count. In that 504, about 450 of them are not going to count. That's just the top 50, and they'll take those and they'll combine them together, and that is how the ranking will be determined. That's why you have a squadron with 300 that's able to be on the top, and squadrons with, you know, half of what 504 has being well on top of them. So it's a cool thing. I really like the balance on that one. It was good stuff. And then you'll have individual leaderboards as well. So there's your member view. We're going to talk now about just kind of general access to the squadron. So talking from a perspective of a squadron owner. So let's say that I was a squadron owner. I have the ability to go in and give permissions to different commanders, just like managing a Discord server, just like managing a forum group of some kind, anything else. This is basic permission management that you see anywhere else online. Nothing special, nothing new here, which is great. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's just putting it into the game so that we can easily manage it. But you can go in here, you can give people permissions to add folks to the squadron, to change ranks, to change names, to do all these different things. And that's going to be really cool, because that means that you don't have the same person having to go in and do all the work. You really can set up kind of like a stellar navy kind of thing, where you've got different officers with different responsibilities in your squadron. Maybe a membership officer who's responsible for adding and subtracting people to the squadron and other things. A curator, somebody who makes sure the names are aligned and all this other stuff. So it gives you a lot of opportunities to be able to make changes and to give people the ability to make changes to where one or two commanders are not overwhelmed in managing this stuff. You got kind of a squadron manifest here. This is just a way for you to look at everybody. You can decide if you want to kick them, if you want to add them to a team, make them a friend, or kind of see where they're at. And it is kind of neat, because you can see where they're at and see how long it's been since they were online. So, I mean, this squadron here, something happened 5 days ago with this squadron, but since then, people haven't been online. But this is pretty cool. So, up until this point, it's been pretty standard. This is very basic squadron management stuff. It's just really fleshed out at this point. It's really well thought out. I like the UI design. I don't have any complaints about it. I don't think it's too cumbersome. Elite Dangerous throughout history has had a problem with making some of the most simple tasks extremely difficult. And in this case, they're not. They're making it very basic. This is the stuff you would see in any other MMO, RPG, guild management system. So this is great. And then we get to this, and then it all starts to go downhill, because it doesn't make any sense at this point. So imagine your squadron kind of like an alternative private group, like a PG. You let people in, and they're able to share, and instead of sharing kind of an instance of the game like a PG, they're sharing resources. And so you have a bank where credits can be deposited. And then you also have, and I'm going to go forward and show you this, and I may go back. You have a squadron fleet carrier, a brand new fleet carrier designed specifically for the squadron. So I'm assuming the squadron commander will own this thing, but everyone else in the squadron, based on their permissions, will be able to access it. So let's go back here, and they'll be able to store credits, commodities, personal assets. Personal assets are stuff like weapon components and things that you find in Odyssey on the ground and in surface installations. And ships. You can store ships. And not only can you store ships, this is where I was excited. I was excited for this. You can share ships. So if you have like a souped up crate, you theoretically can share that, right? Not exactly, because apparently you can't share engineered modules. What's the point? Like, really, seriously, that kills this entire activity. There is no point in sharing an unengineered starship with other people. Period. There's nobody in the game, even newbies. There's so much information out there. There's so many resources and so many commanders willing to step forward and help people in this game. There is no reason you should have to share a stock starship with anyone. Now, unless you, I don't know, maybe unless you want to give them a flight on a Corvette or a Clipper or a Cutter or something like that, maybe. But I don't see the point in having the option to share starships only if they're not engineered. And that's a real point of contention, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the breaking point for most people. And that's what I heard. That's what I think we all heard, and that's what I saw repeated multiple times in multiple Discords and online in the chat, and that's what they reaffirm, is that it's not non-engineered modules. So this is a great idea. The idea of having a bank where you can share credits, you can share resources, ships, commodities, all this stuff. For a squadron that is heavily involved in an activity where, say, like they're building something, or they're working on a special mission, and they need, 4,600 bio waste or something. This is great, but the limitation there makes absolutely zero sense. Now, what I would recommend is that it be an option. There should be an option for the squadron commander to determine if engineered or non-engineered starships are allowed in the ship sharing option. That is a lot of S's to say. I'm glad I managed to get through that. But here's another shot of the supercarrier, the squadron supercarrier. Apparently these things were promised like 5 years ago. I don't remember them, but here it is. It is finally here. And I guarantee you it'll come with some kind of 10,000 arcs skin. And here's just kind of an example of what the systems look like with the commodities. So this is how you'll be sharing things. They did not have an example of the ship sharing or the ship storage. I assume it looks like the storage yards, the shipyards on the stations. I would assume it looks kind of like that. But just kind of an example here. And then the deposit commodity looks exactly like transfer and withdraw from a fleet carrier. So yeah, that is where we're at. So Vanguards. Overall, it's an interesting system, and I'm sure it's going to appeal to a lot of folks. There are a lot of people out there that enjoy Squadron gameplay. I have enjoyed it when I played it, the one time I played it, but that's in 8 years. I haven't engaged with this system. But people who are heavily into power play and folks who are heavily into the BGS activities, they're going to find a lot of benefit out of being able to create a cohesive squadron and use the resources in this system to make their squadron effective across the galaxy. And so, yeah, that's going to be it. Overall, am I excited? Yes, I am. But I'm also hoping to make some serious changes to this before it hits the ground, because the limitations, although they may be few, they are pretty devastating for the basic usages of some of these systems. Hey everybody, these are the Disciples. If you would like to support the work that I do on this channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that notifications are turned on so that you don't miss any of the Elite Dangerous content that I create. And make sure you go to commanderexodus.tv/support and pledge your support today. Access and Patreon gives you access to early release and videos and projects that I work on, and some special vlogs and other things that don't make it here on to the main channel. And that's going to be it, everybody. Thanks for hanging out for this review of the upcoming Vanguards release. I will be back when I get more information, and we'll talk a little bit more about hopefully the Panther Clipper next time, and more about Vanguards as we get closer to its release. Until then, I'm Commander Exodus. Take care, fly safe, and I will see you out there.